Hey guys, live here at the Vatican. We just happened to be here today on a family vacation when we just read that news broke about this Pope Francis, possibly getting ready to resign, unconfirmed. But I'll tell you, inside the Vatican moments ago, we saw a ton of cardinals, which our guide tells us is highly unusual. They're not used to seeing that. That's not normal. And moments earlier, when we were in the Sistine Chapel, a priest or a bishop, unclear, came in and gave us a blessing. Also highly unusual. What was he doing there? Why was he doing that? What did he know? But there's a lot of buzz going on right here, so news as we get it.
There's some big news coming out of the Vatican this week as speculation rumbles as to whether Pope Francis will resign. And in another lesser story, Megyn Kelly apparently has her own talk show where she investigates pretty terribly these types of stories. The former Fox News host went viral for her astonishing observation that the Vatican was filled with cardinals, which to her seemed to suggest that something was going on with Pope Francis. Many people quickly pointed out that in a country whose entire purpose is to be the epicenter of the Catholic Church, there's typically a lot of cardinals around. The Pope, as they say, is Catholic. A few quick responses to Kelly's video that shut down the rumors are that there are more clergy than usual in Rome this week because there is what's known as the World Meeting of Families. She then mentions that he's giving a special blessing in the Sistine Chapel, which, if you're the Pope, is not exactly breaking news. He's the spiritual leader of the church and lives right down the hall from the Sistine Chapel. But with all of that said, there actually are a few reasons, in addition to Kelly's observations, as to why the resignation of Pope Francis is circulating. These rumors did not just start, and she's far from the only person to bring them up. Pope Francis is hugely unpopular with conservative Catholics for his sometimes outspoken comments on things of political nature, most notably his belief that the sacred act of communion is not one that should be taken away by pastors of the faith. He says, quote, "As a pastor, you have to be a neighbor, and if you get out of this pastoral care of the church, you become a politician." This, among many other statements, and his background affiliation with liberation theology, many people practically praying for his resignation. And in addition to all of these rumors, there's one upcoming event that has certain people sure that his resignation is in the future, if not imminent. The Vatican announced last weekend that while all of the cardinals are in Rome, Pope Francis will make a day trip to a cathedral in L'Aquila where Pope Celestine V is interred. Who is Celestine V exactly? Celestine was the first pope in history to resign by choice. This was so controversial that Dante gave him a permanent spot in the Inferno because of it. America Magazine writes of Celestine that he was an unwilling pontiff from the beginning. He was a monk who was chosen as pope as a sort of olive branch in a church torn between competing factions. He resigned after 5 months as pope. Visiting Celestine's tomb has for decades been a sign that a pontiff is considering resignation. It sparked rumors with Paul VI back in 1966, and Benedict, our last pope, visited in 2009 before resigning in 2013. And now that we're on the topic of Pope Benedict, we circle back to probably the main reason why Pope Francis will not be retiring, at least not soon. Benedict is still alive, and having 2 former popes on earth would cause theological mayhem for the church. A pope has only resigned 6 times since the year 946 because the position is one for life, and canon law does not even allow for a pope to step down by reason of health, either temporarily or permanently. Having not 1 pope resign, but 2 in a span of 10 years is truly unthinkable, but not impossible. If it does happen though, I sincerely doubt that someone like Megyn Kelly enjoying her vacation in Rome will be the one to break the news. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.